It is 12:03 p.m. local time at the Utah State University when a shot from a gun rang out. With the smoke from the weapon hardly dissipated, word had already gone around the world that the famous far-right political spokesperson in the United States has been killed. His name, Charlie Kirk. I did not know Charlie Kirk that well. In fact, 2 days before he was killed, I saw him for the first time when Ben Shapiro appeared on his podcast. I have, however, come to know a great deal more about him since his death. One of the biggest dangers with Reformed theology in both Nigeria and around Africa is that it almost always tends to parrot what its American counterparts believe and think. This is not surprising when you consider that many leading Reformed thinkers in America are not just our teachers, but they are also those whose literatures we consume a great deal of. In the light of Kirk's assassination, it might be good to remind ourselves that Reformed theology did not come from America. Historic Reformed thinking came from the Bible. When you consider our more recent history, you will also discover that the Puritans, who many of us Reformed Christians give a lot of regard to, were originally from the continent of Europe, mostly from the British Isles and Netherlands. In fact, the Reformed theology that proceeded from Germany in the 18th and 19th century is one that we have to be quite discerning about. The reason is because the sin of a country has a way of influencing the theology of that nation. This is not only the exclusive preserve of the United States alone, but also including Nigeria. Anybody who has been reformed in Nigeria in the past 20 years would have discovered that there is a peculiar sin that is the exclusive preserve of Reformed Christians in Nigeria. Rather than make excuses for this sin, Scripture commands us to repent of it. It is in this light that I invite listeners today to pay attention to some of the things that the panelists in today's broadcast will be speaking about. I've invited quite a number of persons, but a few of them have declined the invitation. But I'm thankful that 4 persons accepted this invitation. 2 of them already are in the studios. I've invited these brothers to have this discussion about knowing what they will say. I have invited these brothers to have this discussion without knowing what they will say and hoping that they will have freedom to air their views. I believe that what we will say in today's broadcast will lay foundation to a discussion that is worth having in days to come. I wish to conclude these introductory remarks by saying this. The book of Hebrews chapter 12 verse 26 to 29 talks about God coming someday to shake not just the earth, but also the heavens. It makes the point that the purpose of this shaking is so that things that cannot be shaken will remain. When I read that text today, I see sanctification, just as the writer of the Hebrews had posited earlier in that chapter, that God is a father who uses discipline on his erring children. When harsh providences happen among Christians, when a brother is assassinated in front of his wife and 2 children, in the glaring view of the world, we should not only be concerned with meting out justice to those who did it, we should also be concerned about finding out what we did wrong that might have occasioned God to send such hard providences our way. I hold the position that for too long, American Reformed Christianity has allowed the sin of money to creep into its midst. When I wrote a summary on the Reform movement in Nigeria, and I titled the essay Reformed in Name and Word of Faith at Heart in April 2013, I was reacting to a kind of Reformed theology that is practiced in Nigeria. 2 years down the line, I have come to discover that that spirit I raged against in that article was a peculiarly American sin, and it's not just in Nigeria. So when we complain about the Wall of Fame movement, we should remember that that movement is fundamentally American. And even our reformed brethren on that continent are not immune to the sin, in spite of whatever orthodoxy they may profess. I trust that the Lord Jesus Christ will give all the panelists that are around today to speak mouth to speak, and that at the close of the discussion, the Lord will speak peace to all hearers. My name is Deji Yesufu. I am the anchor of today's broadcast. Reformed Nigeria Television is brought to you by Providence Reformed Baptist Church Ibadan. We have a local assembly at the University of Ibadan, precisely at Melambi Hall. You can reach us more for more inquiries on nigeriareform@gmail. I want to thank you very much for those who are around. Thank you for hanging around. I believe Mr. Carl Desmond will be around somewhere. Let me try and locate him. He's not yet. He has not yet arrived. But one of our panelists is on ground. Mr. Tunde Oyelowo is on ground. Can you say hello to our? Hello. Yeah, thank you very much, Tunde. So Tunde is a resident of Ibadan. He is a long-time friend of mine, and I was trying to lay my hands on a couple of people to come and speak on the subject. He was one of the people I was able to lay my hands upon. He's a Christian. He has also been following the Charlie Kirk situation very closely, commenting a lot on social media. So I thought that he should come around. Okay, we're still hoping that Carl Desmond will join us. We're also trusting God that Dr. Mutra Adetola will be able to join us, and also Shogo Faloye will be able to join us. So today, what we're going to do is that we're going to look at those slides that I sent ahead to you, and then we're going to comment on each of the slides. I hope you are ready. Yeah, I am. All right. Okay. So let me try and get the slides out. Okay, so I think I'm not sure what was on the first slide after this one. Can you remember what was there?
What we know of Charlie Kirk's background.
Yes. What we know of Charlie Kirk's background. I have something here. I don't know whether you want to comment on that before I read what I have here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I just gleaned something from the internet. Charles James Kirk was born on the 14th of October 1993. He died, like we all know, on the 10th of September 2025. He was an American right-wing political activist, an entrepreneur, and a media personality. He co-founded the conservative organization called Turning Point USA, TPUSA, in 2012, and was its executive director. He published a range of books and hosted the Charlie Kirk Show, a radio program. In his later years, he became recognized as one of the most prominent voices of the MAGA movement in the Republican Party, and since his death has been considered an icon of modern American conservative. Kirk was born and raised in the Chicago suburbs of Arlington Heights and Prospect Heights, briefly attending Harper College before dropping out after one semester to pursue political activism full-time. He worked with various donors to fund TPUSA, rising to prominence via formal college rising to prominence via informal college campus debates held at his signature Prove Me Wrong table. He extended TPUSA influence through initiatives such as the Professor Watch List and mass rallies aimed at young voters, and has since been credited with generating interest in political conservatism among American youths. Under Kirk's leadership, TPUSA developed several affiliate groups, including Turning Point Action and Turning Point Faith, with the latter aimed at mobilizing religious communities around conservative issues. Initially critical of the evangelical right, Kirk later shifted to Christian nationalism, advocating a different form of government. A key ally of Donald Trump, Kirk espoused a variety of conservative stances, including opposition to abortion, gun control, DEI programs, and LGBT rights. His more controversial views included his criticism of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Martin Luther King Jr., as well as his promotion of COVID-19 misinformation, false claims of electoral fraud in 2020 and the Great Replacement conspiracy theory. On September 10th, 2025, Kirk was assassinated while speaking at TPUSA public debate event at the Utah Valley University campus. His death gained international attention and led to the condemnation of political violence by prominent domestic and international figures. Trump announced that posthumously Kirk would posthumously receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So that is how far we can talk about his background. Don't know if there's anything. I gleaned this from Wikipedia. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that today. Okay, so today, I hope I didn't log him out. All right, so today has just quick briefly gone on. So that's how far we know about Charlie Kirk. I have listened to a lot of conservative views on him. A lot of people are speaking about, and apparently he was a Christian man. He was somebody who loved Jesus Christ. He had a commitment to bring the gospel to the public. You know, America is far gone when it comes to religion, and it will require somebody like Charlie Kirk to be able to do what he was doing. You know, to be able to revive our religion in the U.S. But today, do you want to say one or two things in addition?
Okay. Yeah. What I want to say about Charlie is he's a great guy. I personally, I got to know him some days ago too. It's not as bad, but when he was shot, I discovered that I remember that I've seen his video long ago. I was like, is this guy? So, but it's somebody from what I read about him, from what I've heard about him, he's a great guy. But there are some of his. He's a controversial. He's also a controversial. There's no way you can mention Charlie without mentioning controversy.
Yeah.
His views are. They are not. I don't know how to put it. His views are. It's not. If you have 100 people in a room, and Charlie is speaking, and those people are from diverse religions and backgrounds, there's no way Charlie will infuriate about 80% of them.
Yeah.
But it's not as if what is infuriate. What I mean by that is he's too blunt. He's too direct to the point. He speaks directly. He doesn't look at emotions. He doesn't mean what. He doesn't try to how would I put it now? He doesn't try to consider your emotion. You get. So that is not to say that Charlie doesn't have his flaws. And in fact, that can be one of his flaws. That can be what I just said now can be one of the reason why people hate him. Because if you are relating with somebody and you know that okay, this person probably is not very privileged or probably was assisted by a program. Charlie is a kind of person that will just say it like that. He wouldn't want to know what led to what happened to the person or why that person in whatever situation the person is in. Charlie will just go ahead and say. So I believe Charlie is from his the way he leads. He's somebody I respect. For you to be like going up from age 18, yeah, it shows a lot about that guy. He speaks a lot about that. He assumed a leadership position right from his teen up until he became an adult. So for him to establish those institutions, organizations that he did at that early stage in life, a lot of Americans by that age, they've not discovered themselves.
Definitely.
At that age, they were just like, hey, I'm 18, I can do anything I want to do, hey, blah, blah. But he is focused, he has a mission. And then for that, I respect him a lot for that.
Yeah.
Now,
sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting.
Coming to the controversy about him, there are lots of people that said he had it coming. Like like, I mean, they expected that something like that will happen.
Mm.
So it's just unfortunate that he was killed the way he was. It's so it's so it's a very sad situation.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah,
the law enforcement actually said they reported somewhere that he was going to have there was a 100% chance that he will be assassinated. A 100% chance. So I think I saw somewhere, I don't know how true it is, but I think that happened was that he was actually wearing a bulletproof vest. You know,
yeah.
yes,
He
I
was
saw that somewhere. I don't know how
he,
true it was.
yeah, I think so. I saw it too.
Yes, they
I
said
think
he was
he
wearing
was even
they said he was wearing a bulletproof vest, and what eventually happened was that the bulletproof actually diverted the bullet from his heart, and it was the ricochet that
no,
hit
no,
him
no,
in
no.
the wrist.
I saw that. I don't think that's like a conspiracy. There are lots of conspiracy theories
Yeah, yeah,
around
it's
that.
possible. Yeah, I just saw that somewhere, and I mean I didn't see the what do they call the I didn't see any of the um, security people report it in the US. I just saw it somewhere, and I thought maybe it was true. But
There
they
are
said there was
lots
a 100% chance that he was going to be assassinated. So for him to have been going out every day, and many people carry out that kind of rallies in the US a lot. A lot of people carry it out. But what they do is that they try to do it within in the cover of a hall, where it's better regulated, and there's more security. But I think he had developed a signature for holding his own rallies outside.
yeah,
And I think one of the reasons why they did it was because when people like Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh go to universities like that to hold such rallies, there will be all kinds of demonstration, going on. So I think Charlie Kirk actually said he wanted to go and meet these people outside, and deal with them. So, and that's why he came with that signature banner that come and prove me wrong, come prove me wrong, and I believe that those arguments he had with those young people, and that's the something we don't have here. In this place, you are taught just to accept whatever is dished down your throat. But in that place, they encourage people to air their views. Not being unnecessarily controversial, but air your views. Let's hear what if you have some kind an idea that is other than what is on ground. And I'm particularly thankful to God that I was trained in an American seminary, because that's the idea I bring to theology. It's my theology is very argumentative. Now that I'm a director of a seminary, I am encouraging my students also to be very argumentative. Not to just take everything the teacher dishes down their throat. You know, Examine the claims. Try to see. I mean, the author that wrote a book is a human being. Okay, so he must have his own sins and flaws there. So try to identify it. And be independent in your thinking. So that was something that Charlie actually espoused clearly in his ministry. Yeah. Tunde, are you done with that? Can we look at the next slide? I can't open those slides easily here, so I'm just going to be reading them out. What the political left is saying about his death. Do you know anything about this thing they call the political left?
yeah, the left and the right. That's
Yes.
American system of, it's not like our own here that you have APC, PDP. You don't even know which ideology anymore. Every
All
all
of them are together. All of them are
you
thieves.
get.
Their,
Yeah,
their ideology is to steal. But please,
yeah,
back to the left and right.
so the leftists they believe that government should be there for them. Like they are like they don't want to they want they want government to help them. So they want to
Socialist.
be on the they want government to tax the rich for them. You get, I mean, you
Yeah.
use money of the rich, you spread it across, then You don't interfere
Okay.
too much in their lives. You get like I can decide if I want to be a dog, I can. You just refer to me as a dog. If I
Yeah.
want to be
I love
a
this.
woman now, you get, I can. It's none of your business. You get.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that more of like their own ideology. But this Charlie Kirk guy is 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 his views are not does not align with a lot, and this is also you see that American ideology, left and right, somehow sometimes it cuts across. You can find a leftist guy now. I mean, what do they call them now? The right wing is a conservative. They are called the liberals. Now you
Yeah.
can find some of the views of the conservatives. They share some of the views, and then vice versa. But in this case, a lot of them don't agree with Charlie Kirk. A lot of
Yes.
because of and you won't blame them because it's the way Charlie also presents his views and Charlie is the kind of guy that if you are holding a debate with him, if you are not
Mhm.
properly versed in what you are discussing, he will win you hands down. He will just rush you. There's before you answer one, he's already giving you another one that you are thinking, but this is not what I am talking about. It will just come
Yeah.
from all kinds of angles. So now the leftists, they don't actually agree a lot with his views, with a lot of his views. You get. So that's it.
Okay.
And I won't, like I said, I won't blame them because there were many instances that Charlie would be will be, the way he talks.
Mm.
Me, I don't support his killing by any means, but I would have wished that it could
It was more
it could come down
circumspect.
to people. Yeah, he's too blunt and direct, and there are lots of things he says that are not right.
Okay.
You get there are not there are some statistics he gave that are not right, particularly about the blacks. You get. So
Okay.
I don't think the leftists agree with him a lot.
Yeah. So, what the issue actually is that our world has been experiencing a renaissance. Think, I personally think that thing started earnestly after the 16th century Reformation started in Germany. And it all started with reading, education, people being able to read, people being able to share ideas through books. And so that's how it all started. But one of the things that those people did, especially, in fact, it started with Luther, it started in the days of Luther, was that ordinary people began to challenge the idea of the higher class. Okay, so we have it in Nigeria. It's very, very pronounced in the East, but it's everywhere, where you have the ordinary people and then you have the nobles, the big people, the big men, the aristocrats, the ordinary people, the aristocrats. The person that is above all the aristocrats will now be the king. That's the monarchy. Okay. So somehow the aristocrats, through their purchase of land and owning most of the wealth of the land, they begin to have the say on how the nation will be governed. And that's the reason why Nigeria is going back to that same state where one man with a lot of money just comes to buy up everybody. You know. So that was what was happening for a long, long time in Europe. Until the first thing that I think that broke the ice, a lot of things had happened, but one of the major things that happened was the American Revolution, when America threw off the colonial grip of Britain on them, or of England on them. Immediately after the American Revolution was the French Revolution. And the whole argument behind the French Revolution was that the monarchy cannot continue to, in a sense, enjoy while the ordinary people are suffering. Okay. Now, by the that was the and that was happening towards the end of the 18th century. As we're entering into the 19th century, many political theories began to follow themselves. You know, It was eventually somebody like Karl Marx and Engels that posited the idea that the ordinary people must be given prominence in life. It's not enough to just have one rich person to own everything. Okay, the workers are the lifeblood of every working system. All right. So at the end of the 19th century, two political theories came both to Europe and America, and that was socialism and capitalism. Okay, the extreme of socialism was communism that was practiced in Russia. Okay, it's been practiced in places like Cuba and China today. Okay, and then the extreme of capitalism is what you have in the United States, where individuals own everything. There's free market. Everybody just go and make your money, and use people anyhow. But in the middle of it, you now have something like socialism. Okay, now how much socialist theory should government employ in the system is what we do not know. The left believe that there should be more socialism in the sense that government should help the ordinary people more. Okay, the right believe more in capitalism. That's to say, government should give liberty to everybody, go and make your money, and let the smartest man, and then even after the smartest man has made his money, the smartest man will leave all the money for his children, and many of his children who never worked one day will just be living large. So that is the political left and right divide. All right. Now, Trump is clearly what do they call it? He's clearly a right person, but Trump came from the left himself. Trump used to be a Democrat. He voted for Democrat all his life until when he wanted to run for office that he switched to the Republicans. Okay, so Trump used to be mostly listen, and then the left themselves are not just staying in left; they are going far left in the sense that people like somebody like Piers Morgan now used to be liberal, he used to be left, but he identifies himself today as right because he said he cannot follow them into their transgender madness and all of those things. So all of those things are what is happening now. All these ideas are not developed in the political parties or churches or anywhere. They are developed in the universities. The universities. It is what our students are learning in the universities today that will become mainstream in the nation in another 20 years. So what Charlie Kirk did was that he took the battle to the universities. I got an email, a message from one Nigerian guy many years, not many years ago, about 3-4 years ago, where he was telling me that he's been frustrated in his university in the United States. Why? Because they are all calling him to follow this leftist agenda. And he said he cannot do it. But what is he going to do? All his professors are all leftists, So what Kirk had decided to do was to take the battle to them, and argue with them in the university itself. Because if he's able to change the minds of those young people, then hopefully they will come into the into mainstream and bring about change. And I think again, the far left position was so foolish that it's not difficult to refute at all. It's not because how do you explain somebody who is a man is transgendering to a woman and so on and so forth? Dr. Adela is here. Hope you'll be able to stay with us. So that's it. Now that Dr. Adetola is here, probably I'm going to give him opportunity to speak. Doctor,
Okay.
Ekabo. Sorry, Tunde, just hang on a little bit. Doctor, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. I don't know if you wouldn't mind. Did you hear what we're discussing? We're talking about.
I just joined.
Oh, okay. So we have looked at what we know of what we know
Charlie.
what we know of Charlie's background and person. Now we're looking at what the political left is saying about his death. So we're trying to explain to the viewers what the political left is, and what the political right is and how we came about with the right and left situation. And so, do you want to say one more thing before we go to the next point?
Okay, you know what? The word out there is that you were talking about Charlie trying to correct the minds of the young ones. I think Charlie is a
Yeah,
little bit late. Yeah, for him to be trying university students, those guys are already formed. You can't break them again.
mm,
What I think Charlie could have done is perhaps, well, we are all man, and I'm not trying to be like a know-it-all person, but I feel if he had gone after the the, the little ones, you get,
mm,
because sometimes the American system. If your
yeah,
child comes to you and say, "Daddy, I'm not feeling like I'm a boy. I think I'm a girl." What would your response as a father will determine where that guy will end up in life.
that's right.
You know, I heard that some of those things are happening right from that age in their schools, not necessarily at home, but in the schools from a very young. I mean, when they were kids, when they were little toddlers. I mean, no, I don't want to use toddler. From little age, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8. You
Mm,
get. So I think probably if Charlie had started from there,
mm,
maybe this would not have happened. Because if you are talking to, I'm talking in respect to this community of gays, lesbians, and everything,
yeah,
LGBTQI, so and so. So if he had addressed those issues right if from that, I feel he should leave those university guys and
yeah.
invest
You
them on.
know, at that stage, for children at elementary stages, that's the job of parents. That's what I think. Dr. Adetola,
but but
let,
but if
okay,
you
sorry.
are,
Go ahead today. Go ahead today.
okay, it's the job of the parents, but as much as the parents are trying, what if as you are tying whatever you are tying on the children, the schools are undoing whatever you tied on them? What about that?
Mm, well, that's
So
the point. That's the point.
schools should not be every child should be allowed to grow the way he should grow, not drawn into those LGBTQI things. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, Dr. Adetola, welcome to the discussion. Let me throw this question at you. Our third slide says, was Charlie Kirk a white supremacist? Was he a white supremacist? Because quite a number of people have been making that argument.
Sorry, say that again. Was
Was
he what?
Charlie Kirk a white supremacist?
Well, you know what uh, so the way the political left have framed discussion to attack those with whom they disagree, if you have been following in the last decade or two, is they throw away all of these languages, and it's just to, I think we say you can call a dog a bad name to kill
To
it.
hang it.
All of these words have now lost meaning. It's it's Nazi, it's Hitler. These words have no meaning anymore. And they throw it out at
Mm.
every chance. It's funny because when you send the invitation, so some of the things that they have accused Charlie Kirk of, for instance, he attacked all black women, and he says all black women do not are not intelligent. That's not true. So interestingly, when
Mm.
I was doing my fact check, I actually went to a leftist fact check organization. In fact, I went to two
Okay.
to look at the context of one of the accusations, the central one about, black women do not have intelligence. So he was talking specifically about four black women,
Mm.
Representative Sheila Jackson, Michelle Obama, and I'm trying to remember the two other women. In fact, it's funny because I'm not even looking at a right-wing organization. I'm looking at two fact-check organizations that are left-leaning, and they
Mm.
gave the context that
Okay.
no, they said it clearly. I even have the image, and they said no, he wasn't talking about all black women. He was talking about uh, two black, about four black women. And they gave the context, and then they said they were very clear-minded that no, he wasn't talking about all black women. So this is where we are at now. So the question, so to answer your question, no, he's not. And I have this based on the testimony of many black men and black women. Candace Owen, for instance, gave a tribute. I think it's about 29 minutes long tribute because he traveled around. Sorry, she traveled around for 2 solid years with Shelley Kirk on TP USA, Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Tom is another person. You can go to their website and see. And there have been countless others. And then there were these other people that he gave them a sponsor. He helped them to raise money and to go to the White House. And countless people have given testimony of the effect of Charlie Kirk, people who knew him. And then some of these people who are going around with this racism talk, what they do is they will chop up comment that he has made.
Yeah.
And then they will present only a portion of it. And then they say, see, and then there's this other one that they talk about, about would you want to enter a plane that is flown by a black man?
Yeah.
He was referring in that specifically to the United Airlines, who are trying to lower requirements because they said specifically they wanted DEI. They wanted to increase the number of people of color and women, and to achieve that, they were willing to lower requirements. Now, of course, anybody, whether you're white, black, or whatever color, you should be very, very afraid if somebody is going to lower requirements for somebody who's going to be flying you around. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether the person you want is white, black, green, or whatever, because at 30 feet, you want somebody who knows what they are doing to be flying you around. So my answer is no, Charlie Kirk is not, and you need to parse precisely what he's saying instead of just going around and looking at statements that have been cut and chopped in pieces to evaluate the man. You have to look at the totality of what he has said, and no, he wasn't a racist.
Okay.
Yes. So usually, Tunde, you want to come in?
Yeah, I want to say something. What he said is exactly the reason why he got shot. This controversy kind of. What I saw on the internet was this. Let me read. On that affirmative action, that's the DEI thing.
Okay.
If I'm dealing with somebody in a customer service who is a moronic black woman, why the inclusion of black, I don't know. Why that black?
Yeah. Well, there must have been a context.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm trying to say. How was the question asked? He didn't just stand in front of somebody and say, if there is a something black. So you have to look at what was the question asked, and he was probably addressing the question that was asked. So we have to be very careful in quoting someone. So it's like Mr. Oyolowo asked me, what do you think of black people, something, and he was answering that question in that way.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So Snopes. If you go to Snopes is a left-leaning organization, and I'm flashing it in front of you right now. This is a liberal fact check. And it says, Charlie Kirk once said, this was the question. Charlie Kirk once said, prominent black women didn't have brain processing power to be taken seriously. And then you will find out, specifically, he was talking about Michelle Obama, Joy Reid, Sheila Jackson Lee, Ketanji Brown. And what happened in the context, he had played the video of these people saying they were product of affirmative action. And he was talking about those videos.
Okay.
Do you understand? He was talking about those videos. So someone will now take a bit of that video, leaving out the context of what he was talking about, and say, you see, Charlie Kirk says.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I also, Doctor, you're done. Okay, so and I also think that what usually happens is when a pre-elected president, particularly the president of any country, kinds of people come together. Okay, that at the time of Donald Trump's election, both at his first time and even the second time, I think he lost the second election and then he won the third one. All the three times, there was this strong white supremacist support he enjoys throughout, you know. And the truth of the matter is that there are many groups in America today that are white supremacists, you know. Unfortunately, there's the sons and daughters of the Ku Klux Klan people, KKK, and all that. So now, when Trump now comes in, what happens is that people have a way of just labeling everybody white supremacists. You know, they may not necessarily have been white supremacists. Yes, a lot of white supremacists supported Trump, but clearly Charlie Kirk was not a white supremacist. And then again, in the heat of debates, many things are said that one really has to be careful. You don't. That's why you know the Bible says, "In multitude of words, there is no lack of sin." You know, people tend to want to say things that they just to stretch. You know, to stretch the point a little bit. You know, that's the same way they quote Martin Luther today and say that he was a this, he was that, because he made some statements that were within the context that should have been understood that way. All right, all right.
Somebody, I don't know whether
okay, go ahead, sir.
Socrates says when you lose the debate, you begin to employ slang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It makes
yeah, when the debate is lost, slander becomes an effective tool, you know, to
yeah.
So that's Socrates. Now, people forget very easily. Obama is a black man, right?
Yeah.
He won election twice. He won by a landslide in the first. American blacks are 13% of the population. In which universe does 13% of the population win an election by a landslide?
Yeah.
If they were supported, supported by the white majority. So the same people that people are now calling the white. And by the way, he won the election against a white man who was a war hero. He was a war hero, and also a senator of long standing who is well acknowledged by people in both parties. Both parties recognize the Obama's opponent as somebody who had the spirit of bipartisanship. Even though he was a Republican, but he was one of those people that built bridges for decades. He will work as a Republican and reach over to Democrat. But nevertheless, Obama appeared and they jettisoned all of that and they went over and they supported. And in the second time when Obama ran, yeah, he had less support, but it was still whites supporting him. But I'm sorry to say that a lot of that support that he had in the first time, unfortunately, had been wasted, on a lot of things. I'm talking about Obama now. I personally believe Obama gave back to the Trump presidency by giving the middle finger to the religious right, who supported him in large parts in the first time, and who by the second time had now gotten tired of things like, it was all the, the condescension. There was a lot of condescension. We have to be very, very honest, from the people like Hillary Clinton, from Obama himself, and from that administration, and from, the attention that they didn't give even to the blacks. I mean, what exactly did that brother do, to the black population? It was the LGBTQ people that got a lot of his attention. He did the marriage thing, but the black people that he was representing got nothing. So we have to be very, very honest, with ourselves. Look, I don't begrudge him. I'm happy that now we can point and say, look, a black man became, but it's all about identity politics. And the way to rule is not about saying, yeah, a black man got there. Look, I don't care if a black man got there and I'm not getting, it should be about equality, it should be about performance and all of that. If a black man got there and my life became more difficult and things became more expensive and I'm unable to put food on the table, it really doesn't matter. I honestly don't care if a green man is there, as long as life is
as long as we have provision.
And everybody can live. It shouldn't be about color. It should be about merit and performance, and that's what should matter.
Okay. Yeah. So I want us to look at this question. What about gun violence in America? because I think it is about time that the United States look at that gun violence thing. I must also confess to you that I have not been very comfortable with a lot of our Christian brothers, many of them reformed, who brandish guns all around, and they pose with it, and it's as if the gun culture has become mainstream. I mean, people boast about the amount of different type of guns they have in their houses, and these guns are not cheap. Some of them can buy cars. The bullets alone, I learned it's like $40. So I don't know what's happening with gun violence. It does. I mean, and the Republicans always they always shy away from it. In fact, when I was reading about Charlie Kirk, I saw that he was pro gun. You know, I believe that the American philosophy or ideology of encouraging men to keep their gun is still a correct one. I think it is. But at the same time, there must be control. You know, um, a boy cannot be saying, okay, cannot be coming of age, and then the parent will now carry rifle and give it to him and say that is your gift from your grandfather. What kind of mentality is that? So I think it's about time they look seriously at that question. What's his name? Tunde, do you want to comment on that before Doctor?
Okay. Um, about gun.
Yeah.
Americans, they believe, you know, if somebody, I don't know, probably it's insecurity or something. If you are going into a place and then maybe you missed your road and then you were knocking, you can just get shot for missing. Maybe you want to go to A, you went to B, and in Africa you'll be like, Tale, who are you looking for? And then this is not your house. But they can just respond with a gun right from their sitting room. You get
Dr. Adetola is in Canada. He will confirm to us whether that happened.
no, I'm not speaking about Canada. I'm talking about US. So
Yeah.
I think, and then there are lots of times you just see a small child wake up, maybe a 20-year-old, carry a semi-automatic rifle and then go to a church and then kill like 20 people for no reason. People you've not seen, people you don't know, people you don't have any, you never knew. So I think the gun control thing, they should look into it. But it's almost impossible. In my own opinion, I don't know how they are going to do it. Because before you can unwrap, you can reverse ideologies and things that have been there for decades. It's not something you don't do like this. So, and if they are able to do it, what happens to knives? You get
Knife is a British thing.
Yeah, you can. Okay, you can't get rid of knives. So, but what I think America can do is, I support that. Okay, if they want to get rid of guns, they should at least maybe make available some kinds of gun that are not the gun that you squeeze and then 20
Yes,
bullets will fly out.
automatics.
Within 2 seconds. You get maybe some small pistols that will not have more than 4 bullets maximum that you can use to defend yourself against arm or use to rescue a victim. You don't have you cannot be licensing guns that can kill tens of people within 1 second.
Yeah.
So
So let me rephrase the question for Doctor. Sorry, let me rephrase the question for. So Doctor, you are just at the north of America there. How have you people been able to adapt the gun issue without falling into the American extreme in Canada?
Well, first of all, it's a different culture, and I'm always very leery about imposing different cultures. Let me give you an example. So Australia, for instance, about 2 decades ago, they were able to take out about 1 million guns. But Australia is a much smaller country. So they did what they call a gun buyback, and they took out 1 million guns their population, and they basically inserted incentives for people to return their gun, and they paid them money. But America has more than 400 million guns. There are more guns in America than there are people.
in
Okay.
Nigeria.
So there are about the population of America is about 350 million, and they have like over 400 million guns. So that's
Wow.
number one. Number two, it's a right. It's a Second Amendment right in the United States, and it came from the days long before now, because most of America is actually rural, and very
Yes.
often the places that are far. Many places are far from where you can easily pick up the phone and you will have the police
Call the
available
gun.
in.
That's right.
So they need to have their guns not just for hunting, for their lifestyle, but also for self-defense. You are not going to get out of the US. You can try all you want. It's not gonna happen. That's number one. Number two, despite all these things that people say, I had my bro Tunde say that you can reduce the gun, to carrying less than 20 ammunitions. You know what? You can do that. Do that all you want. First of all, it will be hard for you to get it through. But those are actually not the guns that are responsible for the mass killings. Chicago, one city, Chicago, the city of Chicago, they have anywhere from 500 to 800 homicides every year. Every year. And of course, that's mostly black. I'm using that as an example because it's something you can easily Google and find out. Every year, from 500 to 800 people are killed every year. Our people. And it's not this rifle, these ones that have, these guns that have 100, the packs 100 ammunitions that can shoot 100 ammunitions. No, it's handguns that are killing people there.
Yeah.
It's the handgun, the pistol, the one we call pistol, that is killing
Yeah.
people. Guess what? It is not even the guns that are licensed that people actually apply for and they get legally. It is the illegal guns
That's the problem.
killing people. And they are killing 500, 600, 700 people every year in one city. One city. So that's number one. Then there is this myth, that police are killing black. You remember this thing? Hands up, don't shoot. The myth that went around about a decade ago when a black young man was killed. It's a lie. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying police are not killing, but then if you go and check out the number of criminals that are or people that are killed by the police every year is actually way, way small. It's actually black on black violence, very much like what we had in South Africa. I did my postgraduate training in South Africa. It's black people killing blacks with illegal guns. Those are the places we should be focusing. So over 97% of homicides that are happening in the US every year has nothing to do with the police.
So that's
illegal guns.
so that's the reason.
Yeah. So we need to start focusing. I know these things ginger up, emotion. Police are killing people. It is the guns. It is all these guns that have ammunition that are killing people. Actually, the statistics actually show. You can go to the FBI website. All this information is there. It is the illegal guns. It is the handguns, and it's not all these ones that have all these. I know it's the time they reach the news is when some crazy person goes to some school, which is sad. Every single death is horrible, but that's not where the statistics is going. Now, somebody who is actually intent of committing mass murder, whether it's a knife, I think it was in China not too long ago. Somebody got out a knife and I think stabbed 18 people or something like that. With a knife, one knife. Or like they do in Europe, somebody gets into a vehicle and mows down. It even happened in the US. There was a parade and somebody got into a car and ran down a whole parade of people. We have all these crazy people who are doing all these crazy things. So I'm just saying, we have a black on black violence and we have a criminal problem. These are the people that are actually in the mass murders. Go and look at the statistics.
Yeah. So they used to say that the blood of Christians is as a seed. So I see that there is a revival of religion in America today because of Kirk's death. Lots of people are going to church. A lot of people are hearing his message. I mean, Facebook is full of his pop-ups, which I wasn't seeing in the past. So there might be a sense in it that Jesus Christ is in this after all. What do you think? Tunde?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't because I've seen both sides. I've seen black people left church because of that, because their pastor was talking about the ideologies of Kirk, and then like it wasn't, that kind of soft spots that
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
had. So I've seen people left that know they cannot identify with being sympathetic with somebody that's trying to destroy them or something like that. And there are also some people that came to church because of what happened. So
Yeah.
for me, I think is both ways.
Yeah, yeah. All right, all right. Doctor, you have a comment to
That's
round up?
what's his name? There was the pastor who was growing weed in Georgia, Atlanta. The one that took over. Those are the kind of pastors. What's his name? The weed growing pastor.
It was
Um,
going with. I don't
Went
think it's
viral
going
last
with. Okay.
week.
It's America that has all kinds of people.
Yeah, yeah, it's the weed. It grows weed or is investing in weed. That's one of the ones that was calling Jellicoe a racist.
Okay.
His name just eluded me now. It will come to me.
Okay.
Jamal Bryant. Jamal Bryant.
Okay.
Yeah. Go check him out. You'll see. He's immersed in all sort of scandal. So that one wants to talk. He says someone is a racist. The one who wants to sell weed. Pastor. You will never. You go to his church. He will never talk about Jesus Christ. He never talks about being born again. And then
how people will take weed.
yeah, these are all socialist people. They don't care about Jesus. They just use what they do is they are very similar to all these Yahoo pastors we have in Nigeria. They Yahoo, and then after that's their cake. And then they now put the icing of Jesus on that Yahoo cake. So you go to that church, you are just selling your soul. So it doesn't matter. That's my opinion. So anyway,
America is one crazy place.
11 happened, a lot of people started going to church.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people saying because of the death of Kirk, they're going to start going to church. I pray that those kind of things, that they're true, that they last. I pray that that transformation is real and true, that this kind of will truly bring awakening. And that's because I'm afraid also people will go to churches that are dead, and it's just a religious thing, a fervor that also dies, after a few weeks, because Kirk is in the news now. 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. It's like that man that went out and sowed. Some fell on stony ground and they grew, but then they were choked out. The news cycle is going to come and then they choke him. And that's it. It goes and then something else comes. But thankfully, some are going to fall because they're going to hear the word that will sustain them. And we really don't know, but I'm going to say, let's go out there into the marketplace of ideas. That was what Charlie Kirk did.
Yeah,
it wasn't that Charlie Kirk, he did things that, even though he was talking politics, he was putting Jesus. There's a video, I don't know whether you've seen it, where he went and he was speaking. I think it's called Whatever. There's this group called Whatever. It was a group of people who are, I think they are prostitutes or transsexuals or whatever. There were people who you will call outcasts. They were sexually people who were sexually outside norm. And they had their broadcast. Actually, Kirk went there. He had 1 or 2 hours of talk with them. And at the end of the day, this is what stood out for me. Those people said, you have actually been very, very respectful, because he didn't mince word. He reached out to them. He talked to them respectfully. And every single time, he also spoke about how Jesus changed him. I please find it was like that John chapter 8 thing. He didn't believe in any way. He still spoke of the transformation that he had received by accepting Jesus. And I think that's what we should be out there also talking about, the same thing. So I don't know who out there is going to be touched by all of these things that have happened in the last 1 week. So we should flow with the moment.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Last week we had our brethren from Kenya come to talk to us about the African statement on the prosperity gospel and the word of faith theology. I want to use the opportunity again just to tell our viewers that that statement is online, africanstatement.org. Please go there, sign up. Those of us who are in Nigeria are the ones that need that statement the most. You know, if I could get 1,000 Nigerians to sign up tonight, I'll be very happy so that we can overtake the Kenyans. The Kenyans are not the owner of the prosperity gospel. We are. They just borrowed from us. We're the ones that gave them the Nigerian junk. So please, if you have not signed it, please go to that website and sign. Reform Nigeria Television is brought to us by Providence Reform Baptist Church. We meet at we have church on Sundays, 11:30 a.m. at Melanie Hall at the University of Ibadan. If you want to get to know more about it, please send us an email at nigeriareformed@gmail.com. And thank our guest, Mr. Tunde Oyelowo, who is actually joining Reform Nigeria for the first time. Thank you very much for coming to share your thoughts with us on Charlie Kirk. And I also want to thank Dr. MJ Adetola for making time off. You was just coming straight from the clinic. I think you're still at the clinic, sir. Yes, so he just joined us. Thank you very much, sir, for hurrying us. We're very grateful. Please, if you didn't join us from the beginning, just try to see the broadcast from the beginning. We want to bring this to the end. And next week, we trust that we'll have something else for us. We don't have anything on the line for now, but as soon as we have it, we'll bring it to your doorstep. Thank you very much and remain blessed. God bless and good night.